The following program is sponsored by Brotherhood Arms. It's not always about where the fish are biting or where the birds are flying. It's talk about how to go get them. On the water and in the air with your hosts Neil Jensen, Randy Agermeyer, and Lynn Jurens.
Good morning,
you need
everyone.
To lay off the coffee in the morning.
No, I just had my first sip, and here's a toast to our listeners on 1480 and KS93 Saturday morning. This is aired.
Doesn't even
on
seem
the
like Saturday
sister
morning.
Station. It doesn't seem like Saturday morning,
Not really.
does it?
Uh-uh.
Well, there was a lot of excitement at the weigh-in yesterday out in Marinette, Wisconsin, right in the middle of Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when I saw the location of this championship, I go, uh-oh. These guys can go south. These guys can go north. And then I was listening to our guest this morning yesterday, and they did that. Good morning, Chip Leer.
Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning.
Yes, we are live on Facebook. Good morning, everyone. We're posting this right now on the Water Radio. So not sure how many guests are going to get it, but we'll end up sharing it to our personal Facebook pages, and the podcast will be up for everyone's listening pleasure. Good morning to everyone. And Chip, the excitement was you got to weigh some of the heaviest bags I've ever seen.
Well, they're definitely the biggest bags of the year that we've had, and you know normally you don't see this quality of fish, maybe with the exception of April on Lake Erie. But even then, there's just not that many bags that are in the upper 40-pound class. And what Tom Kimos did yesterday with 5 fish, 46, 49, not a 9-pound average, just absolutely phenomenal fishing. I mean, it's absolutely just scale-crushing weight.
Tom Kimos, man, talk about, just coming out of, not really coming out of nowhere, but Tom and this new bite, this new bite that's been happening over the last 3 years, Chip, and you were the first one that mentioned it to us prior to a Bays de Noc tournament, I think 3 years ago. He goes, "Oh, Lynn, this isn't going to just be trolling."
There's no doubt about it. It's really turned things around. What's interesting is getting out here and spending some time on the water and seeing noted trolling anglers, guys that have been trolling for walleyes their entire life, standing up and casting at fish. You can't ignore it. But what I think one of the things that makes Green Bay a great championship site is just that, is that there's, and we talk a lot about the casting, but you know what? They're still catching fish trolling, and the guys are trolling crankbaits, they're trolling crawler harnesses, but they're also casting. And the three things that they're casting is they're casting glide baits, which are like the shiver minnow bite that you hear everybody talk about. They're lipless crankbaits. They're also casting those like rip and wraps, and they're also casting jigs in large plastics at these fish. And it's what I think. A lot of this has come. The new techniques have changed because the fishery has changed so much, and that's what I'm getting out of this. Talking to all the pros that have been out here for 10 days, is that so many of the bait fish and how much these fish used to chase around shad and alewife. That bait has depleted a little bit, or at least it's moved out, and the walleyes haven't gone because the goby population inside Green Bay is so strong. I mean, literally, if you don't if you're in a hot area, an area that is producing fish, you are also snagging gobies on about every other cast. I mean, they're so thick down there. There's so much food. There's so much bait. It's unlike anything I've ever seen in my history of fishing.
So what the goby was going to provide for negativity, possibly to the fishery, has now turned this thing into not only a world-class walleye fishery, but the smallmouth, everything. So really, really, really has changed things up.
It has, and so it's changing how people are fishing. It's also changing the quality of the fishery. I've got word of a lot of mid 50-inch muskies that and seriously, I'm not joking, mid 50-inch fish like 52, 54. I know one 55-inch muskie caught all in the last 7 days here while we've been staying in Marinette, Wisconsin. Green Bay is an unbelievable fishery, but the walleye fishing in the National Walleye Tour Championship is pretty cool. We got 4 bags over 40 pounds on day number 1.
Now, for those, go ahead, Chip.
What?
For those of our listeners that don't know what you weigh, how many fish do you weigh to get that 40 pounds?
That's 5 fish. That's 5 walleye limit.
That's Tom Kimos having an average of 9.25 pounds
I know.
on each fish that he brought to the scales yesterday.
Isn't that nuts?
There's 4 other guys over 40 pounds, and then Dean Arnoldson had 39.89, so he's just a skosh under 40 pounds.
Right.
And then what makes this even more impressive is that there's no upgrading. So you can't. It isn't like you can keep putting fish in your live well and keep catching your best fish. This is a decision that has to be made. So when you catch a 20, so what that's telling you is that he's catching. If you catch a 24 or a 25-inch fish, maybe even a 26-inch fish, you got to go, you know what? That's not big enough. I'm going to throw that back because I know I can do better.
That's crazy.
Okay, so Dean Arnoldson with just short of 40 pounds is sitting in 5th place. And then Joe Okada was sitting on top for a long time with like 42 pounds. And it's like, that isn't, he's in like 3rd or 4th place, isn't he, Chip?
Yeah, no, Joe Okada's in 3rd. Chase Parsons had a monster catch of 42.79. So it's a slugfest here. The big news here this morning, just so you know, is that we were supposed to leave at 7 o'clock this morning. We've had wind and rain roll in. Small craft advisories. Tournament director Anthony Wright just canceled day number 2. So this is supposed to be a 3-day event. We're supposed to have cut to 10 boats here for tomorrow after today. Well, right now we are not fishing today. I'm sitting in my car. It's raining. I'm looking at 4-footers crash across the wall, the break wall here. And I'm protected, right? I don't know. I have any idea what it's like a mile or 2 offshore. It's got to be just crazy out there.
Yeah, when you get out into that 70 to 80 foot water, and if one guy talked about where and how far he was running yesterday, and I know those waters up by Washington Island and up by Big Bay Zinock and around all those islands up there, that would not be a cool place to be in a 21-foot boat today.
No, so the tournament director, Anthony Wright, made the decision to cancel today. The plan is, at least is the way he explained it to the group, and is that tomorrow the forecast is more of a westerly wind. So, I mean, right now the wind is blowing into us at Marinette. So if it is a westerly flow, it'll be coming over the top of us. So that could open up the first few miles of shoreline, and guys could run up and down this western shore. If that takes place, then he'll allow us to fish tomorrow. So what's interesting is, we've got our Angler of the Year titles on the line. We've got our championship on the line. We got 3 Ranger boats to give away. I've got another $250,000 in cash that I got to hand to these guys. They are chomping at the bit to get on the water, and today we can't go.
Well, if I'm Eric Olson, and I think Corey Springle and him are probably, neck and neck after the first day here, but I think Eric Olson, would he ink that thing out? Now, okay, you're going to probably be able to fish tomorrow, and then will they just end it right there, or will they go top 10 on Saturday?
The call right now is tournament director Anthony Wright said that this would be a 2-day tournament, and he will allow the entire field to fish tomorrow, and we would call it at that point.
All righty. Oh, golly, interesting. So, the wheels will be turning today. Now, that's going to be crashing good warm water into that west shore. And are they predicting high winds again out of the west? So, yes, they'll be able to fish, but they won't be able to maybe get to their honey holes.
Well, I don't. Well, it remains to be seen. But yes, the wind is supposed to be from the west. It's not supposed to let up much. It's just supposed to rotate around. So we'll see what happens here. and this is part of what makes tournament fishing fun, and it also makes for just a absolutely fabulous championship atmosphere. We're supposed to be crowning the best of the best, and part of what makes tournament fishing so fun and the way we learn on how to catch fish in different conditions is what we're going through right now. Throwing curveballs at anglers. If this was, you went out, you free-fished, you found your fish, and everybody raced back to the same spot and caught them in the same place, and it all went perfect, that's no fun. This is what makes it fun, is watching the anglers, at least from my standpoint, because I learned so much, is watching the decision-making process that the anglers make. And you know what? It's really hard to to keep adjusting your plan to the conditions around you, but that is how you crown an overall champion, and that's what makes the National Walleye Tour what it is.
Yeah. Let's go back to something you said earlier. This water used to change a ton when we were chasing fish that were after alewife or, perch or something like that. But when you talk about these fish chasing gobies are not a roaming food source. Those gobies are, they come up out of those rocks and they go right back down in them. And is that really going to change maybe the strategies that some of these guys are partaking in?
Well, it's a good observation, because what we have had discussions of this week is how the walleyes used to move dramatically from the south to the north inside of Green Bay. So they would start on one end of it, and by the end of the summer they were 30, 40 miles on the other side. Now what's happening is that there are more resident fish around pieces of structure because of the gobies. What we do see, though, is you see movement of those walleyes depending upon the weather conditions. So there's times that they're right up on top of these pieces of structure, and there's other times that they move back out into the mud. And this also, there are certain days and conditions. It's not that the casting specific structure is always the best approach. I mean, it's certainly entirely possible that a wind bite like this could favor the mud biters and the trollers out on in that area of the world, and where casting and boat control could become almost impossible.
Yes.
Trying to control your boat in 4 or 5 footers and make casts to a specific piece of structure. So, and that's what changes.
Yeah. That's
different game.
I love this, Chip. This is cool. We've talked 15 minutes about fishing. And this specific tournament and the excitement that we're going to see over the next couple days. Again, not this afternoon. No weigh-ins this afternoon, but tomorrow. They're going to get after it, especially with the west wind. But so there was the I thought was really cool, and I've only heard a little here and there because I haven't seen the write-up on it, but the schedule came out for next year, and I heard on stage something about Red Wing. I heard on stage something about a favorite in the walleye world, Devil's Lake. Are you prepared to give us a little bit of when and where they're going next year?
Without doubt here. In fact, I can pull it up to make sure I get my dates correct for you. That I will do.
Sorry.
But the schedule is set. So in 2018, we're going to kick off the season May 10 and 11, Red Wing, Minnesota, the mighty Mississippi River.
Wow.
That's where we'll start. June 14 and 15. We head to a place that a major walleye tour has not been for a long time. I'm talking about Bay City, Michigan, and Saginaw Bay. We'll be there in the middle of June, which will be a lot of fun. July 26th and 27th, so midsummer, we are going to Devil's Lake in North Dakota for our third and final regular season stop, and the championship is yet to be determined. The anglers voted on it the other night. The choices that they were presented with, so it will either be in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, so directly across the Green Bay from where we are standing right now. Could be in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, fishing Winneconne there. Or the third choice was to go to Lake of the Woods out of Marinette, Minnesota. So we'll see what the preferred stop for the anglers is, because they get a word in wherever we go and what we do, and that's their choices this year. But at least we got the 3 original stops set, and things are moving forward. So if anybody's interested in fishing the tour, strongly encourage you to get to nationalwalleyetour.com, sign up for the newsletter. Sign-ups will start in January, and if you just stay tuned and get yourself at least signed up for the newsletter, you'll keep abreast of everything that's happening.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
What a schedule.
Yeah.
Should be a lot of excitement.
Devil's Lake in July should be good.
Devil's Lake in July can be good.
Mm-hmm.
Devil's Lake in July
Can be rough.
Few places and very crowded.
Yep.
Hey, Neil, if you want rough, Neil, come look at what I'm looking at.
Oh, I didn't mean rough by the water. I meant rough by finding a fish.
Oh, fantastic, Chip. What a great update this morning. Chase actually didn't spill the beans. I mean, we all knew probably what the Parsons, I call them the double P's and the double K's, which is Chemos, Cavallas, Parsons. Kind of had a hunch what they were going to do, but he said, but Chip, I had no trolling gear in my boat all week. So everybody, that is what excites those of us in the walleye world now is you can run out there, you can troll, relax, do that, catch some fantastic fish, but you can also put that 7.5 foot jigging rod in your boat, ripping rod, and have some fun.
Let her rip. That'd be fun.
So very.
Well, and here's what I will tell you guys is that I know I live north central Minnesota, and the vertical jigging rapid flight really, if you follow the roots of it, it started on Lake Bemidji, but we know that it has evolved and changed, and it works in a lot of different places. And this bite here of what's going on is kind of was the next step from that.
Yeah.
And this is the same type of thing. I know for a fact that casting these types of slide baits, jig and plastics, and all this, non-live bait casting, what I call power walleye fishing, these techniques are working in other places than just out here in Green Bay. So anybody that's listening thinks that, hey, that's great, that's what they're doing on Green Bay. Hey, this is about what could work in your backyard too. And a lot of this stuff is applicable in a lot of places, and that's what we take from here, is to go from here, go back to your home water, and try some of the things that you learn in one place and apply them somewhere else, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. Now, they don't all work, but some of them work, and you may find yourself catching more and bigger fish than ever before, and that's what we learn from tournament fishing. Yes,
absolutely. and Chip, on that, Al Lindner made that famous. I'm not sure who come up with this technique, but then a couple South Dakota boys started winning tournaments up there on those lakes right around Bemidji and Walker, Minnesota. Paulie Steffens and Traver Deagle, and all of a sudden the tournament guys go, after the third win, they go, we can't compete. We're going to have to start doing this. Then all of a sudden they took that to Devil's Lake. Now it's everywhere.
And that's welcome to fishing. It's an awesome thing to watch things grow, and to watch it evolve and change, and that's where we just got to pay attention and be willing to adjust. Fishing adjusts, lakes change, and the techniques that we use to chase fish has got to be adjusted to stay consistently effective as an angler. And just because we have a certain way of doing things doesn't mean you can't be improved upon. And new isn't always better, but it's certainly worth trying, and you never know how it's going to come out.
Yep, that's a fantastic theme. Chip, another great update from the National Walleye Tour. This week they're out on out of Marinette, Wisconsin, on the Big Bay of Green Bay, and we appreciate the update, and we thank you for joining us in the world of walleyes.
Pleasure as always, Chip.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Want another update? Just give me a shout. Happy to give it to you anywhere, anytime.
All right, we'll see you soon. Take care.
Have a great day.
All right, another week of On the Water in the Air from our studios here.
I'm going to
South
Clam.
Dakota.
I'm going to Clam Outdoors.
You're going to Clam Outdoors?
Pro days
that
this
was
weekend.
Ice fishing.
It is. It's ice fishing season, baby. Starts tomorrow.
All right.
From small game rifles to big game. From paper punching and tin can plinking to personal protection. If it squeezes off a round, spins in a cylinder, we have the make and model that feels just right in your hands.
Brotherhood Arms in Watertown carries all the big names, including Winchester, Remington, Glock, Mossberg, Browning, Beretta, and many other foreign and domestic brands. Stop into Brotherhood Arms, North Highway 20 next to Doug's Anchor Marine, or online at brotherhoodarms.net.